Hi there! Welcome to a new devlog video about Aqua Mundo, the waterpark tycoon game that I am working on. It's been 4 weeks since the last video, and I have made quite a lot of progress. The first 2 weeks were mostly about working on the pool editor to get it to a certain playable state, and then the other 2 weeks were about working on the terrain and the path system. So I recorded some footage along the way, so let's just jump into it. So it's been 2 weeks now since the last video, and it's a new year, and I've spent all this time working on improving the editor for the pools. I'm really happy with how it works right now. I have had some playtests already, and I learned a lot from that. So yeah, it's in a good state right now where I feel like I can stop focusing so much on this part of the game and actually continue with, other topics like paths or the terrain or water slides and guests and everything. But first I want to show some of the improvements I've made. So first of all, you might have noticed already there's a new UI compared to last video. And basically this is the UI that I also had in the previous prototype. And I'm quite happy with how it looks. It might still need some tweaks, but the general idea is there already, I think. And then specifically with the UI, you might notice that there's an option for construction lines, which really helps when things are in the way, objects are in front of the pool. It shows more information about the structure of the pool. Also, there are now icons for the items that you can place in the pool, so that's very handy. When you want to place them, you'll get an error message if the things are not possible. So, for example, if I want to place a bar stool but there is no bar counter, it will just tell me that I need a bar counter. So, it's more, or at least it's easier now to use the system, and when it doesn't work or when you can't place something, it will tell you why. Like, oh, this will need a level floor. Let's make a new pool and just a small rectangle. And as you see, there are now buttons that let you elevate the pool, but also move around. And when it's not possible to place the pool, the lines will turn red and an error message will pop up. So I feel like this is way more intuitive for the user than before. Another neat little feature I'm working on is video tutorials. So when it's not completely clear how you should use a certain feature in the game, and instead of having a long text that will explain to you how it works, I want to have a snappy video that tries to give at least somewhat of an overview of what you can do with this tool. I also now have a fully functional load and save system, so that's really nice. So the reason why I spent quite some time already on making this something polished is so that I can release this to some people who can then test it and give me more feedback about how they felt like the user experience is while playing this. And people who will be able to play this game are both people who live in the house with me, but also patrons, because now I have a Patreon. So it's been a week now since the last update I did, and I have worked a little bit more on the pool editor. I still felt like there were some changes to be made. For example, now, if you're in the editor of one pool, and you are done with this pool, but you want to change another pool, you can just double click the other pool, and the editor will immediately switch to that one. Also, if you double click outside of any pool, the editor will automatically close. So once again, some small improvements that I feel really helped the overall user experience. But that's not the only thing I've been working on, of course, because I did want to start working on pots, and that's what I did. I have now added the functionality for adding paths. This type of paths is plazas. And the way plazas work is that you don't just fill up specific cells on the grid, but you draw shapes just like you do with pools. So let me just quickly make a shape like this. And now you have a really nice rounded path that can also work seamlessly next to a curved pool. And then people will be able to enter the pool that way, but also it's just aesthetically more pleasing this way. This method will help us to more easily create pool bars. So, for example, if you have this pool here, and you choose to have this edge as a bar counter, and you place some bar stools so people will come and sit at the bar. And then you could, if you wanted to, for example, raise the pool a little bit. And then on one side, the guests will be in the pool and sit at the bar counter. And on the other side, you will have employees standing there serving the guests. I realized that I can only actually fully make the path system work if I also have the terrain system. So before I actually started working on the paths, I implemented the terraforming system. And this is one I have ported from an earlier prototype. So now you can change the terrain, do all kinds of things with it, the same way that you would be able to do in Rollercoaster Tycoon. Actually, it has even more possibilities. It gives you way more freedom than Rollercoaster Tycoon does, but the idea is still the same. But there's still a lot of work left. For example, the terrain system doesn't do a good job at detecting any collision yet. So that's something that definitely needs to be fixed. Everything basically is still allowed to collide with each other. And I also want to add stairs and paths that go just to any elevation that you want. Hi there! Another week has passed, and this one has been quite challenging. I basically decided that I don't like Unity, or at least some parts of it. Unity in general is a really nice general purpose game development engine, but at the same time I have this specific game which has specific needs, and instead of relying on the general purpose, for example physics in Unity, I decided to write my own. So all the collision that is happening in the game is all written by me. And at the same time I also implemented all types of paths that I wanted to. For example, this one. So you can easily make a snake path, kind of, which can go both up and down. And I think this already looks really nice. You can also change the design of different parts of the path. I did have this feature implemented in a different prototype for this game, but I really disliked the code for the pathing system in the previous prototype. So basically, this is all written from scratch again, and I'm way happier now with the structure of the code. It's so easy to go in and find, if there's a bug, find where the bug is. If I want to add something, just being able to add it, so it's very extensible and easy to use, in my opinion at least. And then of course you still have the plazas, which work the same way as I showed earlier. So you just create a shape, and then it will seamlessly work together with the other regular paths. Of course you can still change the design of it if you want. So for example, what if you want a small flower bed here? Then we'll just do it like this, and then now you're free to add whatever you want in this free space. So once again, I feel like the system is very flexible. And then, of course, you're still able to build pools as well. So like this. and then we want this to be going down like this, so people can enter here and then slowly go to the deeper side. And then whenever you want to move things where they can't be moved, the system will now tell you. This is an example of a park I made, just to test things out. So everything is now able to detect collisions with each other. So if you want to raise terrain, it will detect that there's path in the way, so you can't do that. Paths, you're not able to place them if there's something in the way as well. And the same for the pools. So I'm really happy with this. I'm not reliant anymore on whatever Unity does in the physics engine. And I'm able to optimize based on the kind of geometry that's found in my game. It also gives me a feeling of accomplishment to know that everything that's happening here is actually programmed by me, and I'm not just using some code that someone else wrote. So the game is in a state now where I feel like I can just make this a build and then people can already try it out. So that's quite nice. And I now have a Patreon. So if you are someone that feels like they can support the project financially, that would be really nice. And of course, I want to give back then as well. So depending on which tier you choose to be in, you get some benefits. So on the Patreon, people can get access to early versions of the game, and they can just play it and test it and give feedback or talk about what they've been up to. Also, other perks are getting your name in the credits of every devlog I make, or even in the game. Also, you can have a character in the game named after you if you want. So there's some different stuff. If you feel like you can and want to support this project financially, it would mean a lot to me. But I also, of course, understand if it's not really a possibility for you. I just want to, give the possibility to the people that do want this kind of thing. So the current build on Patreon is only the pool builder, but I think in about 2 weeks I will release a new build, which will also include the path system and terraforming. And so every month there will be new stuff that you can try out. And I think that's really fun. Some people have already signed up as a patron, so that's really nice. And people have been testing the build as well and showing some things that they've made. So it's really nice to see that. So that's it for this video. Of course, in a few weeks I will have a new video which will talk about new things. That video will probably be about pathfinding. Finally, I will be able to show you the characters that are in the game. They will walk around and swim and everything, so that's really exciting to finally have some movement in the game. Also an undo redo system and some other stuff. So if you want to follow the development of this game, you can follow me on X if you want to. I give updates at least once a week there. You can also join our Discord server, where you can talk with other people also interested in the game. Or, like I mentioned before, if you want, you can subscribe to the Patreon and get some nice benefits as well. Of course, in a few weeks there will be a new devlog video here, so if you want, you can subscribe to this channel to get notified. But yeah, that's about it for now, and I will see you in the next devlog video. Bye!